Yo, what is up guys? Aaron here, and I am super excited for this one because when I heard SteelSeries is releasing a new mouse, I had to get one. You know, growing up such a huge fan of the Rival 300, I went to Best Buy last week, picked one of these up, and I've been using it for about a week now, so I kind of want to share my thoughts with you guys to help you guys make a decision on whether this mice is right for you or not. So let's check it out. Back in the day when I used to play a lot of competitive CS, the Rival 300 and the Rival 310 was probably my favorite mouse to use, just because I love the ergonomic design. And when I heard they're coming out with the ergonomic wireless, I had to get one. So I kind of want to go over the design first. First, I want to say that it's a pretty small mouse, and I'd say it's made for small to medium hands. The mouse comes in at 80 grams, which I think is a sweet spot for many gamers. Its length is 125.3 millimeters, which is 4.93 inches. Its width is 67.9 millimeters, which is about 2.67 inches, and the height is 42 millimeters, which is 1.67 inches. It has nice grooves on mouse 1 and 2. Side profile is very subtle and has just the right amount of curves. The side buttons are perfectly placed right above my thumb, and it's pretty comfortable to use. The hump is mostly centered and tapers off a bit in width, and it looks pretty emphasized, but it feels super minimal. After using this mouse for about a week, I don't feel much support in my palms at all, even with medium-sized hands, which kind of brings me to my next point, that this mouse is made for claw grippers. I'm a palm guy, and I found this mouse to be too small for me. Growing up using the 310 and the 300s, even the MX518 and the IntelliMouse Pro, I had a lot of support with my palms with those mouses, but I feel nothing with this at all. So if you guys are palm grippers, this is not the mouse for you. But if you guys are claw grippers, I think you'll love this mouse. And one thing I really do want to point out is that I don't think this is an ergonomic mouse at all. It feels like half and half. Kind of feels like an ambidextrous mouse and the ergonomic mouse had a baby and they named it Prime. It kind of feels like SteelSeries wanted to take a safe route and they chose a little bit of everything and combined it into one kind of. And I'll explain later in this video. You can also use the mouse wired with the USB cable that it comes with. Not sure why you would, but you can. And the cable is also very well made, super flexible at a great length. The skates are very nice as well, version grade PTFE skates, which will always come in white. And there's very minimal friction, very consistent, and I just love the feel to these. Overall, I think it's a great design, and I love how SteelSeries just kept everything minimal and simple. Before we get into the buttons, I want to go over the build quality first, because I think that's one of the biggest improvements that SteelSeries made. And my first impression was that the mouse just feels very well built. And I love the matte black finish to it, and the plastic body has a very nice grippy texture. Definitely not a fingerprint magnet, and very easy to clean as well. No creaks when squeezing the sides, buttons are all aligned perfectly. Everything just seems very well put together and just has a very solid feel to it. However, I did notice some type of rattle when shaking the mouse, and I've heard other people had the same issue as well. But it's something you don't feel or hear with normal use. You literally have to pick up the mouse and shake the thing to hear it. Not a big issue, but something to point out. And my favorite part about this mouse are the clicks. They are so satisfying to use, probably the best clicks I have ever used. Mouse 1 and 2 are just super consistent, very crispy clicks with no unnecessary travel. The scroll wheel is also pretty notchy and has a good amount of tension to it. Nothing special, but better than most mouses that I've used. And the scroll button is also pretty nice. However, it's a bit harder to press than most mouses that I've used, so you do have to apply a little more pressure than usual. So just in case you guys are curious on how the mouse sounds, I attached a clip so you guys can get an idea of what the mouse sounds like. And if you guys watch that clip, I don't know if you guys can hear that plasticky springy sound from the side buttons. That's the biggest issue that I have with this mouse. The actual clicks of the side buttons are just okay, but if you go back and forth between mouse 4 and 5 with your thumb, it just gives this cheap plastic springy feel to it, just like how it sounded in the audio. It's kind of a shame because mouse 1 and 2 sound and feel so amazing, but when you get to the side buttons, it's the exact opposite. It's still usable and performs as it should, but just one of those minor issues that I've had with the mouse. As for the sensor of this mouse, I think it's pretty damn good. So the sensor is designed in collaboration with Pixart and is called a TrueMove Air. And I'm not sure exactly which sensor is based on, but I believe it's a tuned version of the PAW 3335. And I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but if you guys do know, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm curious too. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are enjoying this content, don't forget to subscribe. The sensor has a polling rate of 1000 Hz and up to 1800 dpi. And on the bottom of the mouse, you can change the DPI by increments of 400. You can also change the DPI in increments of 100 in the software. And the liftoff distance, to my surprise, is pretty good. Unfortunately, you can't change these settings through the software, but it was much better than I expected. And the tracking performance and click latency felt great. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference between wired and wireless. It took me a while to get used to this mouse because I am a palm gripper and it just felt a little too small for me. But overall, I think it's a very good sensor. And as for battery life, SteelSeries does claim you get about 100 hours on default settings. I was only able to get about 2.5 days, but I guess it's possible. However, the charging on this thing is super quick. A 15-minute charge will give you about 40 hours of usage, so you shouldn't be worried about battery life. And SteelSeries has always been pretty good with their software, and it's the same story here. Very easy to navigate, good amount of customization features, and like I mentioned before, you can adjust the DPI, the RGB colors, remap buttons, change battery settings, and more. I would like to see the battery level on the settings page or at least on the mouse, but you can still see the bars on the main engine page. And finally, the price. And the wireless model that I have here is currently priced at $130 US, which sits right below the G Pro Superlight. However, there are wired versions of the mouse, which is about $60 to $80 depending on which model you get. So my overall thoughts on this mouse. It's a tough one because I think it's a good mouse, and I think SteelSeries did a really good job with the design. The buttons are the best I've ever felt, and honestly, the best way to describe this mouse is that it's safe for everyone. It just feels like they just chose a safe weight, a safe size, a safe design, so that everyone will be happy. For me personally, I would have done what Glorious did with their mouses, release like a Model O and a D, and also have 2 different size options for those mouses as well. For me, this just feels like a one-size-fits-all type of thing, and I kind of wish SteelSeries would release 2 models instead of 2 wired mouses. So like I said, if you guys are claw grippers or maybe even fingertip grippers, I think you guys will love this mouse. But for all of you palm grippers out there like myself, this is not the one for you. So would I recommend this mouse? Absolutely. I think the price is just a little too steep and the side buttons could have been better, but other than that, it's very competitive and I think it gives Logitech and Razer a run for their money. So if you guys enjoyed this content, don't forget to sub and let me know what you guys think about the mouse. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Anyways, thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!